Welcome back, Instigating with Clarkie and Drury. We're very pleased to be joined by our baseball insider, friend of the show, and longtime Sun columnist Rob Longley, who covers the Blue Jays. And Rob, let's dig right into it. Obviously, we are post-deadline now, and let's just get to the meat of the bone, shall we? Do you feel like the Jays got fair value for any of the guys that they dealt?
It's a terrible answer, but yes and no, right? I mean, I think that they got fair value in terms of getting Soriano. That was a good deal for them. And then the other ones were just like, what did you really expect? Like, no matter what, Blue Jays fans were going to be disappointed for whatever they got in return for most of the veterans, right? Like, if you thought you were going to get a starting pitcher for Kevin Gausman or a middle of the order bat for Daulton Varsho, then you were like high or dreaming, right? And because it just wasn't going to happen. And that's the reality of trade deadlines when you're dealing with specifically with expiring contracts. You try to maximize what you can get if you're the team that's selling, like the Blue Jays were in those situations, and hope for the best. And all things considered, I don't think Ross Atkins did a poor job on the trade deadline by any means. But I mean, if you expect that he revived this lineup and revolutionized what's going to happen going forward, I don't see that either. I mean, the only really one prospect that is, well, there's prospects. Of course, you don't know what the prospects are. But Soriano is this get, and we're going to see what he's all about starting this weekend when he gets his first start with the Jays. And he fits the profile, as I'm sure you guys would agree, with some of the pitchers that the Blue Jays have brought in recent years and had great success with. A guy like Robbie Ray comes to mind. Dylan Cease, I'm not saying he's Dylan Cease just yet, because Dylan Cease is pretty remarkable. He's one of the best pitchers in the American League right now. But a guy who's a decent starter, better than a decent starter with upside. So, I mean, if Soriano turns out to be something, then Atkins did pretty well, because, that takes one thing off of the shopping list in the offseason. He can focus on the real trouble with this team, which I'm sure we're going to discuss, and that's finding bats that can help the team score runs.
I almost hate to say this, but I almost am liking Ross Atkins. He's trying. He's doing stuff. He's making changes. Do you think, though, with all the changes, all the ins and outs, and all the guys who have to fill in, for instance, I think it was Straw in center field today, made a great throw home, and I don't think Varsho's making that throw home to get the guy out. Is the team better today than it was before the deadline?
I don't think they are, Clarkie. A lot of people sort of want to suggest that they are. And I suppose you could make the case that the rotation is or was going to be slightly better. I don't know if you can make it now with what sounds like Yosevich is out for perhaps the rest of the season. So, but when, the bullpen isn't as good, Jeff Hoffman, as much of a magnet he was for criticism with his team for good reason.
But look who's come out of nowhere. Mr. Little has been doing okay. A lot better. He
has been, but are you going to buy that over the long term?
Yes, I'm a believer, man. I'm back on the bandwagon.
I told you guys this, I'm pretty sure, on an earlier edition of Instigating, that I spoke with him in spring training, and I bought into what he was saying. Like, I really thought that he had turned things around. He had added another pitch, and Pete Walker was talking him up. He was, they were both talking about how this high fastball in the zone was going to help all his fall off the table stuff, and he was going to be this great new reliever. And I almost wrote it, and I thought, you know what, I better wait and see how he actually does before I write this, which was one of the smartest decisions I made out of spring training, because of course he blew up in spectacular fashion. It's one of those things in baseball, we hear it all the time when guys, it's very much a baseball term, when pitching people talk about stuff. He has great stuff. And it's like, what does that mean? It means that he's got, pitches that are amazing, that will, flummox hitters and, be they can turn out to give results like Brendan Little's done in his last couple of outings. The problem is you have to translate that stuff from spring training games and side sessions and bullpens in spring training into games. And what happens with Brendan, what has happened too much with Brendan Little in his career is his location has abandoned him in key moments. So 3 outings now, I think, since he's been recalled, 3 or 4.
He's on the right track.
And yeah, he's only had one that you could sort of say, okay, that one wasn't so good. So, but you know what? If you want to find out what Brendan Little is all about, you're going to see a little bit of Brendan Little over the last 2 months of the season, because out of necessity, they're going to use that guy.
I was surprised they traded Mako.
Yeah. I was a little bit too. I guess they sort of saw him as a he was not a high leverage guy by any means, sort of a bulk guy in the bullpen. Mm-hmm. And my sense was that they felt that they have other guys in the organization that are comparable to him, talent and upside wise. And they did give him opportunity to sort of showcase his stuff, and not to insult him by any means, because I think he's probably a big league pitcher, but he was pretty much ordinary. Like, there was nothing that really stood out with Mako. And I guess, they felt that what they were getting in return was worth it. But I was a little surprised too, Clarky, to be honest. But as you said, there's a lot you can criticize Ross Atkins on over his tenure with the team.
Yep.
But generally, and specifically in the last couple of years, trade deadlines, he's done a pretty good job. He's gotten good returns, and seems to be able to thread the right needle for what the team needs in that time. The heat will be on him once again this offseason, if there is a legitimate offseason. But I think given what he had to work with, he had a reasonable trade deadline. I wonder how much that last start of Shane Bieber cost the Jays' ability to get something for him, because I'm sure they were trying to move him, and when he couldn't get out of the first inning of walking 6 guys, I mean,
that's tough.
Like, how could you possibly trade for that in that moment?
And then look at his next outing, though.
Yeah, his next outing was pretty darn good, and his 2 prior to that were pretty darn good too. But that would have scared a few people off.
Are you surprised they didn't add a big bat? What was Atkins? Didn't he say something about these guys grow on trees or don't grow on trees a few years ago? But are you surprised they didn't add a bat, or do they look at internal improvement?
Yeah, he's kind of moved away. I'm waiting for the next great Blue Jays buzzword. He's moved away from internal improvement. I mean, obviously that was the glaring need, but I mean, that the fact that they didn't get a bat doesn't mean that they didn't try. And their assets that they had to sell at the deadline weren't that sweet, really. And there weren't as many bats available as arms. And I think at some point they probably decided that, okay, we're going to get as much as we can pitching wise, if that's all that's really available to us, and that we're going to have to approach improving the offense in the off season. And that means spending a lot of Rogers money in the offseason, because there's a lot of contracts that are going to come off of the books. And then the big bugaboo, which I'm sure is on your list of things to talk about today, is, having Vlad Guerrero Jr. do something for this offense. So did they try to get a bat at the deadline? Of course they did. I would have to think, but they just weren't out there. There weren't that many that seemed to be out there. And my guess anyway is that anybody who was willing to trade a position player was asking a lot, and it was very much a seller's market, right? So it would have been a tough deal to make. And we've talked about this in the past too, that the Jays' resources aren't not what they once were. They've traded off a number of prospects over the past number of years because they're in win now mode. And when you have an underperforming offense like they had this year, you just don't have as many assets to get that big game-changing bat. And then more and more and more, it seems like remember years ago, guys, we talked about how this masterful blueprint of Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins was, we're going to draft and develop, and we're going to have this steady pipeline of players. We're just going to keep replenishing them, and it's going to be amazing. We're going to win all these World Series, blah, blah, blah. Well, they've kind of shifted their blueprint, and part of that is the benevolence of ownership. Like, Rogers is willing to spend hundreds of millions, so it's like, okay, I guess the only way we can improve the offense is say nightly prayers about Vlad Guerrero Jr. and spend as much money as we possibly can in the winter, if there is a legitimate off season this winter.
Longley, Ryan, I'm going to let you in a minute here. I know I'm hogging this, but I have
Where
one
is
quick.
Ryan? I thought his computer crashed again.
Yeah, he got a new one. He got a new
computer,
computer,
brother.
He got a new computer. Hey, I just want to know, because this stuff bothers me. Is Little a good guy?
He is. He's very
okay.
much
Good. So I'm going to cheer for him. Good.
Like I told you, I had
wanna
that
know.
great conversation with him in spring training.
Yeah.
It's like, I felt kind of sheepish talking to him because like everybody in the world wanted to hate him, and like, how am I going to write about the guy? And he was like, he was very pleasant, and
I like that. Okay,
yeah, and you know, I think and some people mentioned this when he had his flame ups earlier in the season. His body language is terrible, right? And I think he's probably worked on that a little bit. Whenever like he got a guy on base, it's like the shoulders slumped, and you could just see the confidence ebbing from him. And I think he's worked on that a little bit. But he's a good dude, and he's very conscientious about improving, and he's got good stuff. They keep telling you, right? So you know what? Why not root for a guy like Brendan Little? He had it. He got kicked everywhere last year, and I mean, for good reason in a lot of cases. If there ever is a good reason for a fan base to get on a pitcher, like he earned that. So why not root for a guy if he's on the way back up? Good dude.
Yeah. Okay,
give him a shot.
Ryan.
I will say, I don't know that this team right now can afford to be like, well, let's make sure they're good guys. They just need somebody to step in there.
I don't care if they do. I do. I want to know, because Dave Steve ruined something for me forever, and I'll never forgive him.
Okay, fine, but if you could drop prime Dave Steve onto this roster right now and he was rude to everybody, including Longley, you'd be okay with it.
But Ryan, you're forgetting though the whole reason they had success last year was we're all good guys, we all love each other, all for one.
I'm sure there's some bad guys out there.
Fine. Like I don't know, I would let prime Barry Bonds onto my roster. Like. He produces.
I get it. I get it. I just like to cheer and root for good guys. That's all I'm saying.
do.
Like really pulling for them.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. There is nothing wrong with that. We love that. Just if I could tell you tomorrow that Vlad turned into a bit of a villain with the media, but started slugging over 800, you'd take that.
And I want to add, Vlad has brought the interpreter back.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, he goes back and forth with it, right? Like when, you can go to the clubhouse, he'll talk English, but when it's a scrum, they want to bring the interpreter in for whatever. It's really bizarre because he can handle himself.
Yes, he can. That's my point.
Yeah,
he just doesn't want to do it when he's struggling, and we'll definitely dig into that. One guy that I know a lot of Jays fans were sad to see go, because I don't know that there was the same sentimentality with Jeff Hoffman given his legacy and the moment that everyone will remember him for better or worse. Or with Daulton Varsho, who has just imploded into a not Major League Baseball level player this year, and God bless him in Houston. But one guy that was universally loved was Kevin Gausman, and here's his career as a Jay. And just, you talked about Ross Atkins and the Soriano thing, which we'll dig into too a little more. These guys know, and you got to give them the benefit of the doubt in the very least, even if you're the biggest Atkins Shapiro haters. These guys know how to get good pitchers into this team and maximize their value for their roster. And this guy certainly did that. Certainly one of the best free agent signings in team history. And now he's playing for a pretty good baseball team. And that's great. But I got to ask you, Longley, like spending so much time around these guys, particularly on that magical run last year. I mean, like you think back to his last playoff start, that game 6 where he fanned the top of the order to start that game. What is Kevin Gausman's legacy in Toronto? Because he was a really beloved figure for good reason.
I'm all in on Kevin Gausman. But first, a Kevin Gausman story from earlier this week, which I love. He's like, so his family's in Chicago. Obviously, they show up and see they see like the 3 games against the Cubs and against the Dodgers. Cubs sweep the Dodgers, including they win one of them 10-5. And his 5-year-old daughter goes, "Daddy, I really like the Cubs. Like the Cubs can beat the Dodgers. The Blue Jays can't."
Thanks a lot, daughter.
we love that. And on that note, there's a look at the guy and his new swag. We love that on Marquee Sports with Boog Shambi talking to the boys, and I'm excited to watch his first start this weekend. Obviously, being a Cubs lover, it's exciting stuff. But man, like he really laid down an impressive legacy with this team, and like. You cannot find a Blue Jays fan that doesn't have a good thing to say about Gausman, and just a universally beloved figure, which at times with the Blue Jays can be hard to find, Rob.
Yeah. So a few things with him, right? First of all, I mean, before he came here, him and his wife did, like, this was the big contract of his career, right? It was going to be a 5-year deal. It was going to be likely the most money he was ever going to make. The longest time. They're starting a family. They wanted to go to a place where they liked everything about it. They wanted to go to a city that they liked. They wanted to go to a franchise that they thought, could take them to the World Series. And as soon as they decided on Toronto, they were all in. He embraced the city. He embraced the team. They bought a house in Toronto, and these guys don't. Vladdy has a house in Toronto too, but I don't think many of these guys buy houses. Most of them live in condos within, a 10-minute walk of the Rogers Center. But he embraced the city and a neighborhood and learned about Canada, found his favorite donut shops and his favorite coffee shops in the city, and really became sort of a Torontonian, for lack of a better word, even if it was only for 6 months. Then when it got to the performance part of it, obviously he was, most years, if he wasn't the ace of the staff, he was the sort of the second man on it. And I think last year we could say that he was the ace. And by year 4, which was by year 3, I guess, towards the end of year 3, he became a real leader and a valued voice in that Jays clubhouse. And in fact, he was one of the most important guys that was involved in, after that terrible 2024 season, in approaching the coaching staff and the front office and saying, listen, man, we got to be better in the way we got to know what you guys are trying to do with us here. Like this disconnect doesn't work. We've got to, you've got to fix some things in this clubhouse, and it starts with communication. And to the front office's credit, they took those words to heart, and we all saw what happened last year when he was certainly at his best. And he was one of the most. There were so many guys to get behind in that run to the World Series last year, but Kevin Gausman was right at the top of that list, and he carried it over into this season. He was the opening day starter, and many looked at him as being the guy that was going to help Dylan Cease along with the Blue Jays, and that if the team was going to have any chance of walking it back, he was going to have to be one of the leaders. Unfortunately, we didn't see the best of Kevin Gausman as a pitcher in 2026. He wasn't terrible, not even close to it, but he wasn't that shutdown ace that we now see Dylan Cease being. So, the business of baseball, as everybody in the game knows, and Gausman fully acknowledged, was such that he was going to be moved at the deadline, and it was very emotional for him, even though he knew it was coming, and it was very emotional for his teammates. But he leaves with that Kevin Gausman legacy intact, and will he go down as one of the greatest pitchers of all time? No, but he's certainly on a fairly short list of one of the best long-term starters that the Blue Jays have ever had, and one of their best free agent acquisitions for sure.
I certainly agree.
I want to sort of take this into a different direction for a minute. There's a guy who I follow on social media who I love following, quite frankly. And he's 35 years old. He pitches in Mexico now, pitched a little with the Long Island Ducks this season. Do you ever see Trevor Bauer making his way back to the majors?
I don't know, man. Like, there just seems to be.
I knew he had trouble, but he seemed to get off. Like it was,
There's just so much baggage, and like, who's going to want to, like, maybe he does deserve another chance. I'm not here to judge the man, but I don't know if there's any franchise that would want to take that on. I mean, beyond just the negative publicity that would go along with it, but the idea of it, is it the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do? He wouldn't be the first bad dude to be employed by a Major League Baseball team, but the
is he a bad dude? He's been charges against him were all dropped.
he's perceived as a bad dude. Whether that's
maybe.
fair or not.
Do you follow him on Facebook or whatever he's
I
on?
follow him. I
TikTok?
see him on X. Yeah.
It's so much fun watching. He's always mic'd up during the games.
Yeah.
And he's talking every pitch of what he's going to throw.
He's an entertainer for sure.
And he is for sure.
Pitch.
And I watch him all the time and I'm like, man, oh man. Like,
makes you wonder why somebody wouldn't take a shot on him, right? But
that's what I'm getting at.
So I think that
is he blackballed? Maybe, I don't know.
I think that's what it is. I think it comes down to his reputation, not just among the public for a lot of very complicated and serious issues, for sure. And that's a whole other bag of marbles that we don't have time to open. But it's also just his reputation around the league. Not exactly well liked by a lot of his teammates.
Threw the ball over center field wall.
He lands with the Dodgers, and if the Dodgers aren't willing to put up with you, like that says quite a bit. Right. Yeah. And look, I used to follow him too before all the allegations came out. Like he had a lot of entertaining stuff on there just about the differences in pitch routines and how he approached prepping for games and showing how he gripped his pitch. Like he was a very wide open book in terms of what he
still is
looked like as a player and still is. I haven't followed him for a long time. I can't see it happening, Clarky, and I certainly don't think that the Jays would do it. I think that Ross Atkins has his eyes on other solutions. And on that note, Rob, you were on with our friend of the show. He's been on the show. We'll have him on again sometime. Sid Sixero. You were on his great show, the Sid Sixero Show. Yes. And the other day, he was pretty upset that the Jays traded their number 2 prospect in Arjun Nimmala. He was rated 43 by MLB and Baseball America. And got Soriano back. He's upset that they traded their number 2 prospect and did get a good bat back, which we talked about earlier. What's your impression of this trade? Did they overpay for Soriano, and what is he bringing to this rotation? Because he's clearly a guy with quite a bit of talent, but he won't help the offense, obviously.
Yeah, so where I would go with this is, I mean, obviously I'm not a scout and I'm not a prospect guru by any means, but you could sort of see a sense around the Blue Jays. I'm going to say mostly last year because Nimmala has been better this year, that their belief in him being that superstar shortstop of the future had waned a little bit. There were some growing pains. Now, remember, they drafted him when he was 17. He's only 20 years old now, so he's still very, very young. And while there was obviously some upside with him within the ranks of the front office with the Blue Jays, I think they've seen JoJo Parker sort of sail above Arjun Nimmala in their evaluations of prospect rankings. And JoJo Parker is a bat with power who also plays in the infield and probably on a faster track than Nimmala was to get to the big leagues. Now, when the Blue Jays consider, I mean, they would love nothing more than to draft and develop a future star for their own team, but drafting and developing at every phase, whether it's the day after you draft him or 2 or 3 years into his minor league career, he's an asset with a value. And Ross Atkins and his staff would have placed a value on, whether it's a dollar value or however they do their grading, they would have had a value placed on Arjun Nimmala, factoring in what they thought of JoJo Parker, but also in what they're getting in return. And obviously there's a clear need for some hitting. But in this case, Arjun Nimmala is not going to provide that hitting for you in 2026 and likely not in 2027. So you're looking at what can we get in return that is of some serious value that can help us both now and at least for the next 2 years, because Jose Soriano is under club control for 2 more seasons. Then that's when they started to get serious about, okay, this is something that we've got to delve into seriously and deeper. And they saw, I'm assuming they saw one of these pitchers that they do so well with, as I mentioned earlier, that is pretty darn good already. He was the pitcher of the month in the American League earlier this season. Pretty darn good already, but one that with more upside. And he's coming from an organization too, remember, that doesn't always develop pitchers as well. And they believe in Pete Walker and the pitching staff with the Blue Jays, that they can get more out of guys, and the track record of them doing just that is pretty significant. So while not knowing the full inside baseball rationale behind that trade, I think you can make a case for understanding why it happened. And Namala, they had to pay a price for sure, but they believe they have another guy that's probably as good or better than Namala coming up through their system. And it was an asset that they could move for something that they felt they needed and could get in return. And that's why they made the trade. Now they don't have to go shopping for starting pitching this offseason.
They certainly don't, and that's all contingent, of course, on the hopeful health
Don't
of Trey
say it.
Savage, and I think he will, ultimately be healthy. This meniscus problem that he's got, but like we said,
we're not going to see him this season.
Well, I don't know that he'll miss the rest of the season. We'll see what they say. I don't know. Like it's
how many times do I have to tell you guys this? How many times? Every time we're on the show. Whenever they give you a medical update coming from the Toronto Blue Jays, you cannot believe one word. Hey, have you heard of this guy named Addison Barger?
Yes.
Remember him?
Yes.
Jeez,
he had a great throw, didn't he? The last time I saw him, it was an amazing throw.
Yes.
Where did he go?
He's day to day, week to week, year to year now. Surgery. What about Jimmy Garcia? Oh yeah, he's throwing sides down in Florida. Yeah, he's doing well. No, he's not. So
getting back to Namala for a second.
What's happened with Trey Savage, but I wouldn't expect him to be back this season.
No,
and
I wouldn't.
That may be for the good anyway. If there is a meniscus issue and it's not torn and doesn't require surgery, why would you bring him back anyway? Especially if it doesn't look like you're going to make the playoffs. Sorry.
Just leave him.
I just want to get back to trading prospects for 1 second.
Okay.
I think I'm scarred for. You remember Sil Campusano?
Yes.
He was the highest touted Toronto Blue Jay for years. And I don't think he might have played 2 or 3 years. He didn't play a lot. And he was useless. And every time a trade rumor came up in those late 80s, Sil Campusano. Can't trade Sil Campusano. Anyway, I think I'm just scarred for life with so that's why I don't care. Trade these guys.
I actually like the way that the Jays handle that, right? I mean, they value draft and developing, but they see them as assets too, and not necessarily assets that are going to play for them, for their big league team. But they keep developing them in their system. If they don't play for them, for the Blue Jays, they can bring a return. And Ross Atkins, let's face it, has done fairly well in a number of trades that have involved that type of player. So we shall see. But and if Namala comes out to be like a 4-time Gold Glove winner and a 3-time All-Star and a 1-time MVP, then we're gonna erase this tape. But the Jays had belief that they were making a deal that made sense for them in the moment. It wasn't a panic deal by any means.
No, for sure.
No,
for sure.
and again, like it's rare that like it has to be said, baseball prospect forecasting is murkier than any other pro sport. I would say, like
I agree.
The rarity of trading a guy like Pete Crow Armstrong for Javi Baez, and I can't remember the other guy who was involved in that trade. That's so rare. Like, you can sit here today and go, the Mets are kicking themselves for that. At the time, no one had any idea who Pete Crow Armstrong was. We'll touch on him later.
Right.
But I want to ask you too, Rob, like, do you think that this could be part of a thing where, as upset as Sid was for not getting a bat for your number 2 prospect, JoJo Parker's emergence, like they really like him. Do you think that this could be a thing where, I know that it hasn't worked out at all, and it's going to go down as one of the worst signings ever, barring a miracle turnaround. But like, no one saw them signing Anthony Santander. Like no one saw that coming. It was a huge shock when they signed him to that big 4-year deal. And it hasn't worked out. Do you think that it could potentially be a thing where, assuming there is a real off season, we all hope there's not a lockout, whatever. Do you think it could be a thing where Ross is hiding in the weeds and maybe packages a JoJo Parker and some other stuff to go out and get a big supporting bat? A lot of talk around a guy like CJ Abrams. Washington's got the number 1 offense in baseball. They don't like paying guys, and he's entering the prime of his career and is about to hit a big payday. Like, could they go and make a big splash like that we just don't see coming?
It's possible. I mean, he's done that in the past. I just question the assets that they have to be able to do that right now compared to maybe 2 or 3 years ago. After getting rid of Namala, and if you are as high on JoJo Parker as you say you are, do you really want to make that move? Especially if their hitting people believe that JoJo Parker has what it takes to be an impact bat. And if he's getting closer to the big leagues, it's like, okay, do you really move on from a guy like that. I mean, it's possible, Ryan, that they could try to do something like that. But I really, really believe that they're going to, their method for improving the offense will be by spending. I mean, that seems to be their formula in recent years, as I noted earlier, and they've got the money to do it. You see some of the revenue reports from Rogers, and especially the Rogers Sports and Media division, and the money that they made from the Blue Jays, the revenue from the Blue Jays last year was incredible. And dude, guys, there's still 41,000 a night there. And I know we all know they buy their tickets last year and early in the year, long with the record goes south. But their last homestand, they had the three largest crowds of the season, 43,000 plus each night. They packed the place. They're not $7 beers there, guys. They're spending money. The revenue that Rogers is making from this team is incredible. And I suppose to their credit, somebody in Rogers' head office recognizes that, we can shut down our radio stations across Canada, but we can still spend money on baseball players.
I was going to say, they're making so much money, Rob, that they can't keep a radio station open.
Yeah.
Or send guys on the road to broadcast.
No,
God can't do that either. Can't do that.
No.
Okay, here. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6 teams within the wild card. Jays are within 1.5. Sorry, within 1.5 of the wild card. Jays 3.5, depending on what happens tonight. Are they going to make the playoffs?
I don't see it.
Come on, man. They're going to go on a roll. They haven't been on a roll. They're going to go on a roll.
Well, as we talk here on Thursday afternoon, and I think we all saw the end of that crazy game at Wrigley Field today. The extra innings loss on the rain out makeup. It's I found myself thinking, you know what? These buggers win this game. The play that Ernie Clement made to take it into the 10th inning or the 11th inning, and it was just if they win this game, that's the kind of game that can give you this momentum to go on a bit of a run. And they haven't had that kind of a run this year. Is it still possible? Of course it is. There's more than 45 games remaining. But, there's so many things that stack up against them. Mainly, I think, all of the teams in front of them. There's too many teams in front of them they're battling.
Got to win. You just got to win. You got to start winning. You got to put some string together. Next little while is tough. You got Philly, then Boston, New York, Tampa, New York.
But here's the thing.
That's the season right there.
I agree.
But Clarky makes a good point, because if they get through that, and even if they stay within 3 games, maybe even 4, then the later parts of the schedule are a lot softer. Now,
that's right.
The start of the schedule this year was supposed to be really, really soft too. And how did that work out? So there's still teams on this, and they still have to play better, man. They still have to score runs. That game should have never gone to extra innings today. The loss against how many guys did they leave on base? It happens.
Poor Varland too. I agree, but Varland too bad.
Well, and Dylan Cease, he pitches a gem, and the Cubs have a rare bad hitting day, and they still lose.
Okay, so what was our predictions? We had predictions at the beginning. I remember what mine was. Mine was that.
I don't want to think.
Mine was that Varland was going to emerge as the stopper.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, that was your X.
So I don't remember. Maybe yours was Cease might win the Cy Young, Ryan.
I said I
was
had
that
two, I remember.
No, you had Varsho one.
So I said that I thought that Dylan Cease would be a good bet, and at the time, you're getting terrible odds on it now because he's just jumped Cam Schlittler as the favorite. He's at minus 115 to win the Cy Young now. Before the season started, I put $10 down on him at plus 4,800. I'm going to cash that. So that was my one prediction. And then I said, I didn't make a prediction on this guy, but I said their X factor would be Daulton Varsho. And depending on how his season went, it would heavily impact their season. Look what happened. He's playing for a different organization now, and he's on a fast track if this keeps up, because in the very least, you'd say Daulton Varsho, and in the World Series, he left 13 batters on base, by the way, when he was up to bat. That's awful. In the very least, what you could always say about Daulton Varsho on any given day was that he was a plus defender. And that has evaporated too. He's on a fast track here within a couple of years of not even being in the league. So
let's Let's look now at our X factors the rest of the way if this team's going to win.
There's one. We don't need to do a pit. There's one.
Start with Vladdy.
I fear my prediction. I don't remember this, but I fear that I probably said something ridiculous like Vlad was going to hit 35 on that.
Well, look, we put this graphic up last week, Longley. This was the fan graph projection for this guy.
Yeah.
34 homers, 105 ribs, a 903 OPS. He has a 690 OPS as we record this.
Yikes.
There's no extra. Oh, if Jose Soriano, it doesn't
We talked
matter.
about it last week, man. What was the over/under? And I took the over.
I said an over/under long. I'm interested to hear your prediction on this. I set an over/under for Vlad for total home runs on the season at 11.5. He remains at 6, still has not hit one at home. Will he get 12 or more home runs? I say no.
Yes, he
I'm
will.
in on the under.
No, come on.
Baseball guy, Clarky. Thank you.
Dude, if you watch baseball like Rob does, and Rob will
I do.
understand this,
Yep.
a guy can turn it. You can turn it around in one swing of the bat in baseball.
He
I'm
can
convinced.
also turn it
you're
into a
not
puddle.
saying that.
I
Okay,
am
Ross,
saying that. I told you I'm drinking the Ross Atkins
John
juice.
Schneider on the show. How many times is John? He's this close.
I agree. He is. I honestly believe that, but
Chris
I do.
Schneider.
I believe it.
Chris
I
Schneider, ladies
believe
and
that.
gentlemen.
Clarky.
Chris
I'm telling you,
Schneider,
I'm
my
drinking the
co-host.
Kool-Aid.
Chris Schneider, my co-host, ladies and gentlemen. Longley, it's been a pleasure. Before we let you go, I would love your
You just
take.
watch. We're gonna get you on
because-
when he hits 5 in a week.
Well, I can see that, but don't say he's one swing away.
Why?
Like,
He
why
could
would
be.
you basically why would you say that? On what?
If
what
he's-
possible grounds?
Because you can see it's all in his head in my mind.
Okay.
Okay, so then how is that going to... He's 6
The one home
really
run, it will
good
be like-
swings.
Give me that jacket.
No, he's
And the
6 really
dragon.
good
And the
swings
dragon.
away from getting your bet over the line.
I get that.
Let alone
I'm
even
saying
turning
he's
into
one
a
swing
good player
away.
again.
He's one swing away from turning it around.
He's another season of this away from being one of the worst
Okay.
contracts in pro sports history.
Sure.
So if he shuts his eyes one day and swings and he hits one out of the park, and then everything is good, right? Because he's not going to start chasing balls out of the zone like he's been doing all season. He's not going to have meek ground ball outs. And
What's his injury right now? Do we know? Back.
What's that?
What's his injury right now? Why is he not playing?
I don't know. I mean,
His confidence.
yeah, I think it's a little bit of hamstring
strained
and
quad.
back.
I think he's going to hit 2 home runs, maybe 3 in a game in the next week.
Maybe tomorrow night. In
Maybe
Philadelphia.
tomorrow night in Philly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We heard
All
it here
right.
first on Instigating.
Off the pitching machine in batting practice.
No,
That doesn't
dude,
count,
I'm telling
brother.
you watch how this turns around. Okay?
I mean, obviously, I just don't see it.
You watch.
But a guy like this, because it is, in all seriousness, it is it's unfathomable that this guy could only have the amount of home runs
It
that he
is.
has. And it's
That's right.
impossible to believe that he doesn't have a home run at the Rogers Center since
It's
last
sickening.
August.
that is unbelievable.
It's just
It's
we joked about it earlier, but this dude is a strong dude, and even just blind luck, he's got to hit a couple out by accident, even by pure accident.
I
How
agree.
could this actually be? It's
I don't
stunning. It really is, and it's there is some bad luck involved. There's a lot more to it than that. I thought actually Atkins was pretty good when he was making the post-trade deadline radio rounds in Toronto the other day. He tried to explain some of the technical stuff that was going on and how he's out of sync, and there has to be some technical issues, and that was part of it. But then he added to it by saying, and once those technical breakdowns become so pronounced and it gets between your ears, then you're really screwed, because now your confidence goes and you have difficulty having a plan. I wonder too if there's too many voices in his head. There's a bunch of pitching coaches on that team. Edwin Encarnacion is a special consultant. He's around for a while. Vladdy's uncle in the Dominicans in his ear all the time. I'm sure his old man is as well. Probably all his contemporaries around baseball that are, maybe there's just too many. There's just too much noise there, and it's just, and, the deeper the funk goes, the more the wires remained crossed, and it's something, man. But
Just
maybe
sit back and enjoy. It's going to turn around.
He could hit 10 more. Like that would not shock me either. I'm still taking the under, but he could.
We'll get you back on soon.
Cool.
I don't know. Before we let you go, Longley, we're into August now. It's pretty incredible. Who do you think is the favorite for AL and NL MVP?
Ooh.
I think the AL's pretty black and white, in my opinion.
Who do you got?
Yordan Alvarez is chasing a triple crown. I mean,
yeah.
I have a hard time finding somebody. There's no Judge. Ben Rice has been a nice story. I don't think I can find somebody that's better than Yordan.
No, there's not really, right? It should be close to unanimous. Yeah, especially when you start throwing the triple crown in the mix there, and he's carrying that Astros team in a lot of ways. So, yeah. He's probably the guy. And I mean, it's a pretty good race over in the National League. I love what it's fun to watch that Grow Armstrong guy, man. Like he's a dude and
pretty good.
Yeah, and Shohei's in there, so it's going to be like I think it was obviously that series this week brought that discussion to the forefront with two major media markets, the Dodgers visiting the Cubs and the Cubs sweeping them, and CA being a big part of it. It's like it'll be an interesting vote down the stretch for sure. It's hard to go against Shohei, but I mean the Cubs, like you can make a case that the Cubs are outside of the Dodgers because you still have to give them number one, but you can make a case that they're the second best team in the National League right now. The Cubs, like they're playing some pretty good baseball. They made some savvy moves at the trade deadline, and I think that as much as Gausman's season has been just sort of okay, I think he'll get a bump from the enthusiasm of being on a contender, and they could be a real factor down the stretch. And Wrigley Field is a great place on a normal weekday in the middle of the summer, but it's a pretty magical place in the playoffs, and it could be pretty fun to see that team go on a run.
100%. Yeah, the best defensive team in baseball. They have 53 outs above average. The next closest team is 22 behind them, and it's the Giants who aren't even going to make the playoffs. It's absolutely nuts what they're doing defensively. That guy dancing all over the field, making incredible plays. It's going to be a fun run to the finish here. Longley, we really appreciate this. Can't wait to revisit these Vlad takes from Chris Schneider here, and we'll get you on again soon, brother. Thanks.
All right, guys.
One swing away. One swing away.
One swing away.
That's all it is.
Ladies and gentlemen.
See you, buddy.
Our buddy Rob Longley from the Toronto Sun. Please follow him on social media.
Listen, he's got to turn this around.
Well, yeah. That's...
Well, no, but I'm saying he's going to.
Look, like at the end of the day, I believe this guy is a superstar player that is locked into one of the all-time worst mental breakdowns we've maybe ever seen in pro sports history.
You just said that, and all of a sudden, you know what it reminded me of? Steve Sachs not being able to throw a ball from second to first.
This is so
I know
much
it's
worse.
different. I know it's different. But
it's worse.
Yeah, I guess it's worse, but it
is worse. Big
sudden,
deal. A guy can't throw to first. This guy can't.
Did you watch that guy play? Every time he got a ground ball, he threw it away. Every time.
I understand that, but then it's just like, okay, put another guy on second then. I'm asking who's on first.
What's on second?
Listen, it's worse because what this guy represents and what we saw him do on that postseason run, what he represents. And by the way, look, anybody can be traded. I understand that. But in baseball, with so many cheap owners and other teams that have high payrolls, of which there are few, right, spending on other guys, this guy's kind of locked in. Like, he's kind of a J for life. Like, it's going to be real hard to move him.
For sure. And it's really unbelievable. This is his first year of the contract. It is unbelievable. Which is
almost good news in a way, right? Because this
if he turns it around, yes.
That's what I'm saying. This season's been so historically, amoebically bad that you almost have to flip it around and go, at least he's doing this now, I guess, and can be 28, turning 29 next year and rebound and have a great 7 or 8 years of just mashing baseballs. Because eventually, Clarky, when he starts hitting 33, 34, 35, he just kind of becomes Big Papi, in my opinion. Ideally, like, you take him off first and he's a DH and he's just clubbing baseballs. That's the ideal scenario here, I think, right?
I just find it hard to believe that a guy who's been so good hitting home runs and can't hit a home run can't turn it around. I just feel he will turn it around. That's all I'm saying. And hey, we'll see. We'll find out. But
you're not, like, look, as bad as this has been and as much as it's making everybody freak out, like, it's not like we're talking about a guy that we saw hit 31 time and
exactly. That's my point.
Then he hit 17 and then he hit 20 and, like, this guy hit 48 dingers in a season here.
Yeah.
Like, if Shohei Ohtani
and had an amazing
exist,
playoff last year.
One of the best playoff runs of all time by an individual player.
Absolutely.
This guy had like a 1260 OPS. That's outrageous stuff.
I know. He was in a zone. And that's why I'm saying I think he can get back in that zone. And maybe it'll take.
I certainly think he can.
Maybe
not this year, though.
Why not this year?
I think that it's going to. I think it's all in his head. It's going to take an off season to fix this. And it's going to take the team bringing in some support, because it has to be said, look, I'm not making an excuse for a guy that makes $500 million. It does have to be said, though, that when you look at the rest of this hitting lineup, including the very disappointing now departed Daulton Varsho, who's got plenty of pop in his bat and can't put a bat to ball to save his life, he doesn't have a lot of support in terms of offensive bang. Kazuma Okamoto, I understand. He's leading the team in homers. He's got 24 now. He's got a lot of power. He's hitting like 228.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, so that's why I'm wondering, do they try and get aggressive and go after somebody like an Abrams or many
You're
other
talking in the
batters
offseason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I get you.
That might give him the opportunity to be like, well, even if I strike out, I can feel a little okay and be loose about it, because Abrams, just as a hypothetical, is hitting cleanup and he'll ram one in, right? Like, that is Ross Atkins' biggest
internal
detraction.
Improvement right now. That's what they need right now with their offense. There's no doubt.
And the question remains, like, will Anthony Santander ever take a swing for this team again? He's got 2 years remaining on his deal.
I know. Where is he? Is he out for the year for sure?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're not going to see.
We're not
that
seeing
guy.
him.
He had a surgery.
I know it was in
repaired
spring training. Yeah. So just a little.
Well, spring training's when he showed up and told them his shoulder was hurt.
Yes, I know.
And I can't
Thanks
wait.
a lot. He could be playing by now.
I can't wait for the investigative report on just what happened to this guy. Like, was he ATVing somewhere and just fell and is too embarrassed to say what happened? He slipped
Water
and
skiing.
I don't know. But to show up to spring training and go, by the way, guys, I can't lift my arm over my head, and you owe me $18 million, and I'm going to sit in Dunedin all year and just eat food.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you, how here's a question for you. So the Jays, as I mentioned, play in Philly this weekend, starting tomorrow, Friday night, as we record Thursday. Then they're home to Boston, New York. Then they go to Tampa, and then they go to New York. How badly will Vladdy get harassed in New York if he comes up there with only
really bad?
The Yankees lose.
Clarky, he could do a thing where you said he hits 3 home runs in a game this weekend and gets himself up into maybe double digits. Yeah. It doesn't matter. When he shows up in New York, regardless, he is going to get incinerated.
Maybe that's when he turns it around. He says, watch.
It could be.
We'll get Demergis on that week.
He loves hitting against the Yankees, and that would be a great story to see him heat up and hit 3 homers in the series or something.
It's going to happen. I can't wait.
It's incredible what we're watching here. It's really sad, to be honest. You know what's not sad, though? Listen, we have a lot of great guests on this show. We're lucky to have a lot of great friends on this show, and one of those friends is our very good buddy, Doigie. Ian Doig of the Ian Doig Golf Academy. And wouldn't you know it, you want to talk about winning one World Series and feeling good about that and winning a championship. How about 4 straight championships? There's Doigie with the Northern Ontario PGA Seniors Championship 4 years running. There he is, our buddy Doigie. 4 straight. That's a golf clap and a half. 4 straight years he has won and defended his title. Just incredible stuff. There's the leaderboard. He won it by 4 strokes.
Well, 78-66. He was out, lights out on round 2. 66.
He turned it on, man. Like,
yes,
unbelievable stuff from our boy Doigie. And then the Northern Championship, the PGA Championship up there, the Northern one, he lost that one. That's by the
super
stroke.
Senior. This is the super senior.
Yes,
I think
he lost it by one of the other. Yeah, to Nick Oosterhoff. Like he could have been walking out of there with.
Well, he
one
doubled
under
last
his
year.
Charm.
He won last year both.
He did. He won both last year. He doubled up, and he could have done it again.
One was the senior, one was the super senior.
The super senior, yeah, and that's the super senior is the one that he came up a stroke short on.
Was it? Okay.
But four straight titles,
and
man. Like, how about
guess
that?
What?
Doigie.
This weekend, Mr. Doig's coming down. We're playing 2 rounds.
Wow.
Yes.
You're gonna play some golf with
We're
the
gonna play
champion.
some. Yes.
Tell him
Saturday,
to
Sunday.
bring the trophy.
Saturday, Sunday. I don't think he gets the trophy. I think it's probably still at the golf.
Oh, he should.
Maybe he does. I don't know.
Rent it for a weekend, bring it down, set it next to you in the golf cart, and maybe it inspires a couple strokes off your game.
Maybe. Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
All right?
I totally blew up last time I played golf, so I got to turn it around. That's for sure. Last round was not.
You're just like Vlad.
Too good. That's right.
It's all in between the ears, brother.
That's right. And we'll see our buddy Lance Chomick on Sunday.
There you go.
That's why I was asking if you were around this weekend.
I don't think I will be. His
you were
birthday
gonna caddy
party.
for him,
I got to do it. Eventually I'll show up and caddy for you.
Okay.
Before the summer is out, I'll come down. I'll caddy for you. We'll do the whole kit and caboodle. It'll be a good time. All right. How about that?
Sure.
Listen, I got to ask you really quickly before we take off here. You got to be pretty excited about your Maple Leafs making another big off-season addition. Okay, Andy O'Brien is coming to head up the sports.
Well, can he score?
Well, but he might be able to help a guy score 60.
Do you think he can? Do you think he can?
Well,
like I've heard it.
Like
I mean, I don't know the guy. I know who he is, and I know of him, but I don't know him. And yeah, he's worked with the best of the best. And
well, he was Sidney Crosby's main go-to guy for like 5 years.
Yeah,
I think that I don't really need to rattle off the rest of his resume, do I? I mean, that kind of says all you really need to know. Okay, and Sid's been one of the best over 30 and over 35 players.
And he's working with
history.
Tavares right now as well.
Yeah, and Tavares has long worked with him in the offseason and heaps tons of praise at this guy. And the Leafs went out and he's been working for the Penguins for the last few years. And they went out and said, hey, we want you to come over here.
Are you surprised at how seemingly so much good talent John Chaika has been able to acquire in the front office?
Good talent based
scouting,
on what? Like Andy O'Brien scouting. We'll see what their next few drafts look.
No, I don't mean that. I mean the new head of scouting. Wasn't he from Minnesota? Like they've attracted. What I mean is they've attracted some, from what I hear, pretty talented people to run those.
Well-liked people around the league. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Like I guess the only facet in which people might be surprised was Chaika's reputation coming in, and would people want to work with this guy? And I don't know, could it just be that was maybe overplayed a little bit, or could it be as simple as we can put more zeros on this check than Minnesota can, or Pittsburgh can? I don't know.
Could be the case. You're absolutely right.
Money talks. That being said, I will say this, and it doesn't shock me simply based on who he works for, because they've done this a number of times. He certainly put his thumbprint firmly down on the makeup of this whole team.
Yeah,
from the roster on up.
It's come a long way in my mind since the press conference, which was a disaster. Right? Yeah. Since that day, things have turned around.
Well, at the press conference when Keith wouldn't let him talk.
Well, that and then the Steve Simmons comments and everything else. But
yeah.
Steve.
Yeah, I wonder how many exclusive sit-down one-on-one interviews Steve is going to be able to wrangle from the Leafs.
I don't
this
think
year.
he cares.
My guess is under a half.
I don't think he cares.
0.5.
And now I read
No,
Detroit.
he doesn't care.
Detroit has hired an outside company to look for their new GM, and analytics is high on the list. And analytics.
Great.
Well, I'm just saying
Great.
it sounds
Good.
familiar, is what I'm saying.
Good.
Too bad the Leafs already got John Chaika, the best of the best.
Maybe they turn around and they call up his sister. Like
maybe Megan, yeah.
Now I
Can you
know
imagine? That'd be cool.
Well, and look, like people might scoff at that. Like if you
She
watch
knows
her
her
on
stuff.
television, like she's very smart and like in
Yeah.
terms of the analytic movement, she is very
Oh, yeah.
embedded in that and absolutely knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she's a shoe-in to be the GM in Detroit or something, but I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple of years if a team just outright hired her to run
Yeah.
their analytics department.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure.
Especially if things work out real well for Chaika and the Leafs and they have a drastic improvement in the next couple of years, yield some good prospects and
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Like, it wouldn't surprise me. No, like, look, I'll say this for him. He certainly put his mark on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Now they just have to go out on the ice and play. And we'll see what happens.
Nice. That'd
Yeah.
be nice if they just went out and played and lived
Yeah.
up to some of these contracts and
Yeah.
got back to being a competitive team. I mean, like the pieces are there. I really feel like, really quick, your X factor for the Leafs this year, outside of Austin
Oh my
Matthews.
gosh,
Like
I haven't
Austin
thought of
Matthews.
that.
Yes, Austin Matthews, of course. That's a given. I know what mine is.
Like,
And I don't think
I don't
it's
know
a
if-
hot take.
I don't know if this is. Yeah, I don't know if this is a like an X
me
factor,
yours.
but if Bobrovsky can play the goaltending duo, let me say the goaltending duo
Sure.
can stay
Throw
injury,
Akhtiamov in
can
there.
stay healthy, and Akhtiamov can
Yeah.
stay healthy and play the way they have been capable in the past of playing and not decline. This team will do okay.
If Bobrovsky has a better than 910 save percentage, I
Yep.
think they're a lock to get into the playoffs.
Wow, nice. Okay, I'm getting excited about that.
Now he had a sub 900
That's okay.
last year,
Yep.
but who knows? I'll tell you mine. I don't think this is really necessarily a hot take either. Chris Tanev has got to play 70 plus games.
At least 60.
Chris Tanev, I'd set that as like a harsh minimum,
Yeah,
if not 65.
no
Like,
doubt.
play-
He's had
by the way,
injury problems all the time, but he's such a good
people
player.
are forgetting often
shot
because like
blocker.
I was one of the best shot blockers of all time statistically.
Which may be why he gets hurt.
People, well, that's not what caused his. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Wear and tear for sure. He's 37. People forget, like, we're playing 84.
that's right.
We're playing 84 games next year.
2
Like,
exhibition games, is that it? Or
Yeah, that was the trade-off. We get
Yeah,
rid
2.
of like the 5 and 6 exhibition games.
or is it
depending-
4? I think they're playing back-to-back A and B squads.
I think they might be playing 2 or 3. I know they slashed.
Yeah,
half
I think
of the
I think they're
exhibition
playing
games.
4, but they're both split squads.
Yeah.
So.
That's probably what it is. They reduced the exhibition games. They added 2 regular seasons. So like we're
Good.
playing 84.
And they should have.
here, man. Like,
And we're
we
actually
gotta-
starting in September, the regular
yeah,
season.
which is
Crazy.
definitely a bonus.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes, man. It's going to be an
Yeah.
interesting end to the baseball season.
It
Can the
is.
Jays get hot like Clarkie hopes and squeeze in 3.5 back as we record this? Stranger things have happened, man. Stranger things certainly have
It's
happened.
not
I'm
a
pulling
lot.
for you. It's not a lot. I'm
There's a
pulling
lot of
for you.
teams
I
to
hope
jump
it works
over.
out.
That's the problem, but
I
just
hope it
get
works
hot
out
at the
for
right
you.
time, baby. Just get hot.
Let's see how it goes, man. Thanks
Yeah.
to our buddy Rob Longley. We always appreciate
We
his
do.
time from the Toronto Sun. He is the best. If you want Jays news, you got to follow Rob and read his columns. He is the absolute best. We appreciate everybody listening on all your favorite podcast apps, including Apple and, of course, YouTube. You can get the podcast version on YouTube as well. And, of course, Spotify. You can watch us on YouTube and Rogers TV. Follow along with us on social media at Instigating Pod. We will be back next week with more Instigating with Clarkie and Drury.